Hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing well today. I am Rachel Henry, and I am always backstage at Storybook shows, so I have lots of stories to tell, and especially with this one, with all of the technology and props that had to come out. So we are very excited. It is Storybook Behind the Curtains Adventure in Toyland edition. Woo, so lots of fun stories with all of the actors. And if you like what you see or you hear today, please make sure that you comment or ask questions during the live broadcast, so that way we can answer and talk back to you. We'd love to hear from you. And we hope that you're all staying safe in these crazy, crazy times. But if you like what you see, again, please support the arts. We are struggling right now, so if you'd like, please go to our PayPal page, which is paypal.me/storybook396. And let's get on with the show, why not? So, we are going to go with our lovely actors, Miss Emily Cheney, aka Princess Ballerina Belle. Welcome to the stage. Hello, Emily.
Hello.
Hello. And next on our list are Captain Combat Nathan Landis Funk. Ooh.
Hello, everyone. I tried to imitate what I was doing in the picture.
And our lovely rag doll, Miss Aileen Goldberg.
Ah!
Oh, gee, thank you. Thank you, Aileen.
Hi, everybody. You're welcome.
Hello. And not a toy, but still great. The owner of all the toys, Michael, Mr. PJ Schweizer.
Hello.
Hello. And
Hi,
unfortunately, our pirate Pete, Chris McCollum, has had some little technical difficulties, but he will hopefully join us at some point today, maybe. And last but not least, our esteemed director of our show and creator and everything else that has to go along with the show, Miss Patricia Goldberg.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So, to start with this show, it's a little different from the rest of the storybook shows that we do in the fact that it was an original concept, right? This didn't really have a storybook or a story to go with. So, Pat, why don't you talk a little bit about how you came up with this concept?
Well, the concept of toys coming to life is certainly not a new idea. Toys come to life lots of times, but generally not when the person is in the room. Like even in Toy Story or any of those, type of movies, the toys always stopped whenever the person came in the room. So my decision was that since the toys were coming to life, was becoming extremely popular at the time that I started to write this, I was going to put the child, whether it be a boy or a girl, it happened to end up being Michael and not Michelle, but I decided to put him in the room in a situation where the toys could come to life, so that they could help him, overcome his little phobias, his childhood phobias, so to speak. So it took a little doing. I had to think of toys that people knew, like the parents would kind of, feel comfortable with, and the children who are attending the show would also have some knowledge of, so that we're not giving them toys that they never heard of.
So how did you come up with the set design too? Because everything in this kind of story is bigger than actual life. As you can see, the table and the chair. So how did you kind of come up with that concept?
Well, we had to figure out, or I had to figure out, how to make the toys look life-size and Michael look toy-size. So the best way that I could figure to do that is to make the room around them super-sized. So, I started with just a table and a chair and some blocks, because I knew I wanted blocks. And when I wrote the script, the computer came into it. So little by little pieces were there, and then when I handed it over to the set designer, he added the toy box, the walls, some of the other pieces that were there. And then I did set dressing and found anything enlarged that I could to throw on the set.
I just remember when you first created it, you making all of the crayons out of the foam.
It's true. I made crayons out of cardboard tubes, foam sheets, all sorts of stuff that went into that. The cardboard box for the cardboard box of the crayons was kind of pieced together and painted. Yeah.
Made the checkers out of foam.
No, the checkers are
No?
actually, they're styrofoam discs.
Mm.
And I had to sit there and carve. I carved I think it was almost 10.
Yes.
So
There's
there were a lot.
There's a bunch of
8.
them on there. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was probably the hardest thing to do because that.
And then I know you just have like pool noodles in there for like pickup sticks and frisbees.
If you look at that picture again, that blue bandana, that's actually a towel. That's it's only a piece of it, but it's a towel. There's a waste paper basket. That's the pencil holder.
Yeah.
There is a blue blankie on there. That's actually a blue blankie, but it looks kid size there. So and I had that blue disc in the back, kind of like a frisbee.
Mhm.
I found that someplace too. And then there was the oversized pinwheel. I'm not sure.
It's
It's hanging in the toy box there.
Yeah.
They're very popular now. I see them
are.
all over the place. But when I purchased it, there was only a few around. So, different things.
Lots of creativity in that mind. So when you hand it over to our lovely director or music director, Jeff, who did all the music, where do you get the ideas for the song breaks? Is it kind of like a collaboration between you two, or?
No, I decide where the song breaks are. He writes all the songs. I just tell him basically what I want at that point. If he could, and if he's not happy with the idea, if he thinks it should be something else or maybe a little different, he'll get back to me and say, hey, can we try this instead? Or, I said, listen, I want most of these songs to be upbeat. I want it to be a very upbeat show, and not a lot of ballads. I mean, he loves to write ballads. He's very good at writing.
He's very good at that.
But I really wanted things that were more upbeat and imaginative for the show. So,
And they're beautiful songs.
Thank you. But I decide where the songs want to go so that they're hopefully not too close together, that they kind of get spaced out properly.
And I just want to say, hi, Keith. Thank you for watching.
Keith! Hello, Keith! Love you, Keith!
All right, so Aileen, Emily, and PJ, you all got to be in the original run of this, the first time we did it, however many years ago it was. So, so how did you kind of put your own spin to the role? Because you guys got to kind of put yourselves into it a little bit, and how did you originate your roles?
Rach, do you want to call on us one by one? So.
Oh, Aileen, why don't you start?
Okay. So I got to be involved in the process very early. So when Pat was still writing her original drafts of scripts, she pulled me and Rachel and my husband, who ended up being the original Captain Combat, and Rachel's boyfriend at the time, right?
Yeah, still boyfriend.
Now
husband.
Aside, just to casually read the script so she would know how it sounded, how it flowed, what she
We do that every time.
Exactly. That happens with all new scripts. We've done it for Little Mermaid, which hopefully we'll do next season. Fingers crossed. So we were just reading it through for the funsies of it, and I've done so many storybook shows at this point. I didn't want to just talk as the toy as myself because I thought that would be boring. So I was like, oh, I know what I want to do. I want to randomly do a lateral lisp. So we're doing this silly read-through in Pat's living room. And I'm there and I'm like, hi, everybody. I'm the ragdoll and I have a lateral lisp. It's great. Let's go on an adventure.
So yes, this lovely character has a lateral lisp.
Yeah,
it fits her so well.
It does.
Because she's pretty much the comic relief in the show.
Yes.
She's not the sharpest crayon in the box. So I thought it would be kind of funny. And Pat hated it at first, and it grew on her. Thank God, because now everyone loves the lateral lisp.
Yay! All right, Emily, talk to us about your pretty
Say hello to
princess.
Della.
Oh yeah,
She's back with
Stella.
us again.
Oh, thank you, Mother. Yeah, Stella Diamond. Thank you for joining us for our third time.
Hi.
You're wonderful. Ask us any questions. Hello. Oh, and hello to Simone. Hi, Simone. Thanks for joining us. All right, Emily, talk to us about your princess ballerina, Belle.
Well, I mean, who doesn't want to be a princess when they grow up, really? Like, and a ballerina, and have a wand. All the dreams come true. I did sort of feel like in some ways, Princess Ballerina Belle was sort of the maternal figure in some ways, where there were no adults, so to speak, throughout the course of the show. And she was kind of the one that was always making sure that everything was, it's okay, it'll be all right. And she was sort of the momish figure in some ways, since there were no adults throughout the entire dialogue of the show. But yeah, are you kidding? I got to wear a tutu and a crown. My life was complete.
And you got to have magic powers.
And I had magic, yes.
Yeah.
Della says, what a pretty, pretty princess. Thank you.
You were so pretty.
You were so pretty.
Thank you, Della.
And your hair was so super long.
She meant Pat, but still.
Oh, okay.
I've never been a princess.
No,
The
she's
most
awesome.
beautiful queen ever.
All right.
Thank you.
And PJ, tell us about your awesome frog. PJ's, no, I'm kidding. Tell us about Michael.
That was the best costume ever.
It is. It's super comfy.
Most comfortable costume I've ever worn. I think what was so cool about working on this particular show is, like you said at the beginning, Rachel, that this was an original story. So all of these characters, it was different from other storybook shows that we've done, in the fact that the audience didn't have any preconceived notions of who these people would be when they came in. So there was never this like walking the line between making the character your own and trying to give them the character that they've come to expect from hearing these stories like for years. So that was really cool. And then Michael, luckily I related a lot to him. I was a lot like Michael when I was young. I was scared of my own shadow. I had an overblown imagination.
We didn't know that.
Yeah, I was very much like Michael. So I really related to him. And there wasn't as much pressure on the role for a sec because there's all these colorful characters around him. There's the mom character in the ballerina. There's the silly one in the rag doll. There's the super goofy, boisterous one in the pirate. And Michael had to be the relatable one, the one that the kids could actually relate to because he was the one that everyone was, that it was happening to. So all I really needed to do was react honestly to all these like crazy people that were all around me. And kind of really go on this journey every week. So it was a pretty easy role for me to sink my teeth into because I remember being a lot like Michael when I was that age.
Della, I see your question. I will get back to you about that because that's part of my discussion a little later on. So when we get there, I will definitely ask your question. But thank you for asking it because it's a good one. But we will get back to that. So Nathan, you are new to this crew. But tell us a little bit about your Captain Combat. Oh, wait, I have to ask a question first. Do you know what a G.I. Joe is?
It's a valid question. I will say that prior to Adventures in Toyland, I only had a vague idea of who G.I. Joe was. So one of the things that like people first learn about me is that I grew up in Canada, and G.I. Joe, I don't feel like he even exists in Canada. Like maybe, but not in the same way. So this tiny town in like a prairie province, very like a lot of Mennonites who are like non-violent. So going into like Captain Combat role was like hilarious for me. I remember I watched a documentary about G.I. Joes. I think it was under The Toys That Made Us. It's on Netflix. So I watched that. It's like, oh, that's G.I. Joe. And I watched like a lot of war movies, and I got into like not kid-friendly ones. I maybe took it a little too far, but I wanted to get in this role of like, okay, he's like a protector, you know. At the time, I think I had been working at the Please Touch Museum in Philly for a couple of years too, so it was kind of funny being like, all right, so you know, all these kids that I get to play with, is like, what would it be like to be the protector? My nephew had been born, I think, 5 months prior to the show. And so I was thinking, okay, like, what would it be like if I was in the responsible role? I had to sort of take action. And I really do like that stuff. It's just like, I had to like put it in me to get into the role. And I really enjoyed, like, I'm embarrassed because I can't remember the name of the song, but it's the one where we're in the jungle. Do you get,
Yes.
what was the name
Wild
of it?
Things.
Wild Things, yes.
Yes.
Things.
Yeah.
We're on the safari, yes.
Yeah. I loved doing that song. It was super fun to get to march around and just like jump on stuff and, you know, do karate chops.
Is there some
So-
sort of Mountie doll, Eleanor is asking?
I'm sure there is. I never had one, but I was like a big Lego guy when I was a kid. So the closest I had was like
Lego.
Fort Legoretto of the Wild West. So I had all these like militant guys with swords. So yeah, definitely that. Or if it was like Knights in a Castle, that was like my form of playing with characters that can be violent if they need to.
All right, so I would like to ask the three of you dolls here, how did you kind of represent your dolls? Like what? Oh no, we lost Nathan.
Oh no!
Oh no, Nathan, you're gone. Come back. Well, fine, Aileen and Emily. How did you kind of make sure that the doll came out to the audience? Like, let's start with Emily, since she's more really a doll than Aileen is.
Aw, thanks.
Oh, he's back. He's back.
Yay! I think
We lost you. All right, you're back. So, Nathan, my question that we were stating is, how do you bring the doll to life to the audience? And we're asking Emily how you kind of represent that in your acting. Emily, go ahead.
I think that for Princess Ballerina Belle especially, I tried to keep some of the ballerina movement, but also kind of remember like a lot of those Barbie dolls didn't have the range of motion that a real ballerina has. And some of them have range of motion that normal people don't have. So I tried to kind of find a mesh of the two where it could be human, but also not break me.
That's a good thing. All right, Aileen, talk to us. Talk to us about your rag doll.
So rag dolls and like Raggedy Ann type of dolls tend to be very floppy. So I kind of went with that. So I was always kind of like, just like flopping everywhere. Like there was definitely no solid motions from me.
And you didn't have hands, right?
Floppy, and I didn't have hands. So I had no fingers. I wore these mittens. So I had a thumb and the mitten part, as you can see in the picture. So, like, we were singing Mind's Eye, and the motion was supposed to be this, right? Like this, but
Yes.
like this. Yeah. But I didn't have a pinky, so like, it was just kind of like, I just looked like insane and was like weirdly saluting while spinning my head.
And by the way, may I just tack on to that motion?
We'll talk about
I'll let you come back to it later.
We'll talk about that later.
Okay, never mind. Never mind.
Don't jump ahead.
Script.
It's a secret.
We'll
But
talk
yeah,
about
so I got to do a lot of like pratfalls, and I fell on my face, and I
not actually your
jumped
face.
into Captain Combat's arms, and
Yes.
I flopped everywhere, and it was fun. It was fun to have like no bones and just be cotton filling.
And Nathan, talk to us about your
I
Captain
was
Combat.
the polar opposite of Ragdoll.
Yes.
I had to look at, okay, how's a G.I. Joe doll built? And it's like, oh, I don't know if they're a doll. I think that was like controversial to say that. But
You're an action figure.
Action figure, that's right. I learned that in that documentary. It's been a couple of years. But yeah, the fact that G.I. Joe dolls, they only have a joint here and like here. And so I tried to like keep it as like mechanical as possible. I think I did my best to not do this the whole show. I think I did have to at some points because
dancing
got to be
wise.
human. But
Yes.
I did my best to keep myself as stiff as possible, which I kind of am anyway, so it wasn't that much of a stretch.
Aileen, you were like Harry Potter in the second story, no bones.
No bones. Poor Harry.
Poor Harry, yes. So talking about the doll's life, and our emotion here, let's listen to a little clip of Mind's Eye, which is the not the opening number, the second number with Michael. So let's look at the little clip here.
Halfway to adventure is waiting deep inside, and when you're through, you've only just begun. Your mind's eye is a beautiful thing,
Mike went out that show.
Yes.
And I was like, oh man, Mike's here and he's taking video. And then I watched the playback and you can still hear my super low harmony so loud. It's like, mind's eye. Because I was singing so loud.
Because your mic wasn't working, right?
A very close person to us is clapping for us. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Jason.
Oh, and Eleanor says, it sounds very much like William Finn, the music. Maybe.
Oh,
Had a
That's a
little-
good point.
kind
So-
of like a new brain.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely.
Pat, talk to us now about that movement. What does that mean? And how did you get that movement?
right.
Yes.
I know someone who's actually deaf, and I really was trying to find out a good motion for imagination, for something that the dolls could do that would, really symbolize imagination. So when I saw her, I asked her, I said, how can we represent imagination? I want to put it into a song and I want to represent this. And she said that this motion, I can't do it on camera,
Yes.
everything's backwards, but that means imagination. That is actually the sign language sign for imagination. So,
Yes.
yes.
So that became kind of.
That sort of became our symbol.
So would you say that imagination and using your mind's eye is the overall message of the show?
I certainly think it is one of the overtones of the show. Sorry, my lighting designer. keeps
Your lighting
adjusting
designer
my
is in the
lights.
background. AKA your husband, Mark.
Yeah.
Hello.
But I really think that using your imagination can certainly help you overcome a lot of things. It may not solve everything, but it will certainly perhaps put you in a better place or lend you, that courage you need to maybe, go forward. So, yes.
Woohoo. All right, I'm going to play another clip of our
Thanks.
airplane. We'll discuss that using your imagination. Yes. So,
Wow.
woo, Aileen and all of her ad-libbing.
We can fly in an airplane.
Yes, there was a lot of
I don't
ad-libbing.
know.
Yes, there was a lot of ad-libbing. You have to fill the space there somehow.
It was designed for ad-libbing
Yes.
there. I deliberately did not write lines through there because it's more fun for the actors because every day it can be a little fresh if they want to choose different things, or if they do recur, then it's fresh for the audience and the reactions are always different every time. So it's just a lot of fun to have a little spot where you can ad-lib.
Aileen, do
That
you want
Rock was there all the time.
Do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about Bob?
Bob the Rock has shown up in a lot of shows.
Just,
He
just
was in
Hansel and Gretel. That's
too.
where he came from. Yeah.
And he was there, and I don't even know what I saw half the time. I
Emily,
like that. Look, it's the Atlantic Ocean. How to get there? I don't know.
did Emily come up with the wave, or was that you? You should wave.
I think that came from all
All
of
of
the
it.
other oceanic puns that I
Yeah.
have.
David Mohan said, a
waved
gift
lot,
by a
and we
good
mentioned a
director.
lot of geography.
Yes.
We don't need
Thank
David
you,
Mulholland
David.
to improv because
He would have gone off course. Yes,
he would
anyway.
have taken us somewhere totally.
We love you,
It would have been
David.
quite an adventure.
So now I will go back to Della's comment if I can get to it. There you go. You came in a little late to the set discussion. Did you discuss the really cool letter blocks? And did the cast ever feel tempted to spell out those different words?
No.
Mother,
It's no problem just spelling out the words.
let's talk about let's talk about the blockography, as we like to call it. As you can see there, it says JU there. Talk about how, because this is a one set show, so kind of discuss how the blocks kind of created each little vignette, as we like to call it, each little scene.
Right. Since we didn't do a lot of scene changes, or we wanted to use our imagination rather than put a jungle on the set. I decided that the blocks would be the way to set the scenes. So we couldn't actually spell out jungle, but JU was there, so we used the JU for jungle. The fun part was really the rehearsal for the blocks, because we didn't have the blocks at the time of rehearsal.
That's right.
They were being built at that time.
I forgot that. That's right.
I actually made paper blocks, but not three-dimensional ones, just flat, square blocks, and at each side I put the letters, and I numbered the blocks so that people would know have a number and letters. So when I gave them blocking, I could say, take block 2, turn it to letter P, and place it there. So people would know what to do. So it really was block, we have choreography. Well, this was blockology, blockography.
Yes.
So, it was a lot of fun. It took a lot of doing, get everybody to get blocks where they were supposed to be. And we've had a few at times when space wasn't space. I don't remember what it was.
We had to switch them.
Yes.
Like the A and the C.
It was like, gosh.
It was something strange.
It was like, whoa!
But we try, and I tried to make sure that there were no letters on that on the blocks that they really could make
bad
words we didn't want to be seen in a children's production. So.
Smart.
Yes.
Yeah,
Which we appreciated.
Yes,
very
we
much.
didn't want to have any mistakes coming up with
Just imagine the emails.
FU or something.
But I think the most difficult part was that there was like a lowercase r and then like an uppercase r, so you had to figure out which side, which block it was. Was it the uppercase r, the lowercase r, or the things like that? So, yes, Eleanor, we did not mean duck. No.
It's the wrong show.
Wrong live show.
Wrong live show.
Duck.
There's a lot of filtering happening right now.
Yes, but as you can see, lovely boat.
That's right.
PJ's sitting on the B.
B, yes.
Yeah,
Not like Ode.
But it's also, it has to deal with the lighting too. Our lovely lighting director, as you can see, Mark, did a lot of things to help us with the
Space!
Yeah.
Space.
Good.
So,
The final frontier.
so that has a lot to do with it too. So actors, you are always on the stage, except for Michael, who comes off and on at the beginning.
Right.
What happens if you are feeling a little under the weather? Aileen, talk to us about it.
Hi! So the first time we did this show, I had a really, really nasty cold. Pretty much the whole run. At least the first week. So I had to stay hydrated and non-phlegmy so I wouldn't cough all over everyone. So in the toy box behind us, I would stash cough drops and my water. So when I went back there to get the pirate flag and the Jolly Rancher, I actually snuck back there and unwrapped a cough drop.
I think it's already unwrapped. You had already unwrapped it before the show.
Oh,
It was
I was
unwrapped.
pre-prepped.
Yes, you had pre-prepped.
But it's not fun to do a show when you're sick and you can't leave the stage.
No.
Not recommended.
Now, Emily, did you got a chance to kind of duck behind the chair at one time to do a costume change? Did you ever sneak water back there too?
I always had cough drops back there too.
Mm-hmm.
So they would, same thing, we'd have them folded over and sitting on the ledge so we could go back and I'd be like, I'm putting on my cape and but water, there was no place to really hide anything there because I was still visible.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
So I could turn my back and sneak a cough drop, but to swig of water would have been really obvious.
Sorry, boys, you couldn't do any of that. You didn't hide at all. But
Water makes you weak.
Tommy Abbott says hello, Aileen, Emily, and Nathan.
Hi, Tommy!
Hi!
But kind of talk to us about how do you kind of sustain your energy throughout the show? Because this is a very, very lively, active show. So, PJ, why don't you talk to us a little bit? How do you kind of sustain that throughout the entire show? I know it's not that long; it's only like an hour, but talk to us how you kind of do that.
Right. So I think it starts with before you even get to the theater. I think it's making sure that you're prepping your body before you can walk out there. So it's making sure you get enough sleep the night before. It's making sure you're hydrated and you've eaten something sustainable before you go on stage, so that can carry you through. But then when you're actually on stage, I think I don't know, what helps me is just like being focused on what the story and staying into the character. Then I don't really focus on how PJ's feeling if I'm in Michael's head the whole time. You know what I mean? So I think it's a lot of us just kind of living the story. And as long as we've done our work beforehand, unless it's something like Aileen went through with being sick and stuff like that, where you kind of have to find creative ways to sustain yourself. I think if you stay with your character instead of thinking about yourself, then you're going to get through it just fine.
And Nathan, do you have anything to add to that?
I mean, I think PJ nailed it. I mean, I don't know about the rest of you actors, but I sometimes go really weird place mentally on stage where I'm like, I'm on a stage right now and I'm saying things to a lot of people. And I don't know why, like how that started, but I get like very meta. And so like PJ, like if I then enter in like, no, actually, I'm Captain Combat and I'm going to save this little boy from bad things. Then it definitely helps. And the adrenaline helps too, honestly, because, you know, you can feel awful after a show, but then you're like, oh, it's done. But I don't know, there's something about the body being like, hey, you need to perform now, that I think it helps a lot.
I was going to say
Adrenaline gets you through a lot.
I think this is one of my shows that moves so quickly that you don't even realize it's been an hour. You know, it's like, oh, we just started. It's over already. It never stops. It just goes straight through.
Yes, and I feel like the audience really helps you out too, because if they're into it and they are bringing out the energy, then that's definitely giving you a lot of energy in return.
Yes.
So, Eleanor says you can't ignore a lot of ailments when you're on stage. Yes, you can.
Yep.
Just forget where you were. And Eleanor, your other question, wasn't there a day when the iPad went out? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it was this run, but I think it was definitely the first run when we were projecting it from behind the set. Let's bring up that picture. This time,
the leapfrog.
Yes, the leapfrog. In the first run, there's a hole in the back of the wall, and we had a projector hooked up to a computer or something, and it was projecting it onto the screen. And I think that run, it did go out one time. But we just kind of imagined, they kind of
your imagination anyway.
It was, so it didn't really matter.
We just pushed right through that.
Yeah, this time it was hooked up to a TV, and that was digitally hooked up to my laptop that I'm actually using right now. And I had all of the screenshots in a PowerPoint on my laptop, and Roku hooked up, Bluetooth thing. I don't really know how it works, but it hooked up, and it just had to do a PowerPoint and press a couple buttons. And thankfully, it did not go out this run, or else I would have no idea how to fix it.
Make sure you press them at the right time. Yes.
Yes, make sure. That was the very tricky thing for me. Is I literally was in my script, going, all right, timing, need to do it here. I went over with Pat, going, okay, which word do you want this image to come on? When do you want me to hit the countdown button? Fun things like that. And yes, the countdown was always fun because
No.
the countdown wasn't really like in sync. It was kind of slow at some point and faster at the other. So the kids were always like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, and then you guys, the actors would be like 10, 9, 8. But you know, live theater.
Live theater.
Fun times. All right, so let me play my last clip of the. Yes, when we're just finished burying the treasure, and you start hearing funny things in the jungle safari, scary stuff. So let's listen to that.
Now we're really in a bind. I just left them behind. Those are mine. Oh, of course. Really me. We may encounter caves or ancient ruins, or an idol that some cannibals have carved.
What's that ground?
What was that?
Not another jungle cat.
Out of that, with my tummy, I am starved. What? Creepy something came, still I heard it just the same.
And I'm pretty sure it came from under there.
Underwear! Even underwear! Sorry. Oh, it's getting chilly.
Aye, lass. And there's a mist rolling in. Affirmative. We may be in for some nasty weather.
It's best for us to huddle close together as we stumble through the eerie evening fog. Wait! What's that crouching over there?
Something spooky, something rare.
It's a monster! It's a bear! It's a log! Oh, well, it's a creepy log. We're frightened, so we see things in the shadows. We're afraid of things that we don't understand. Ah! That's a ghost! No, it's not.
Or it's a zombie.
It's a what? Something's got me! No, that's just your other hand.
Oh,
Love that one.
Comic relief, everybody.
That's just your other hand. I love it.
so especially in that song, you're kind of describing all like the spooky stuff that you're seeing. How do you kind of grab the kids and get them to see what you're seeing? Kind of. Anybody have a response to that?
I think just telling kids it's something scary, they're all going to go, you know, like as a
There's a
little kid,
zombie.
like there's something exciting about spooky things. So you just have to put the idea in their head and they're with you for that ride.
I
We're
think,
using our imaginations, so
Yeah.
and I think Jeff music, the underscoring under it, you know, sort of adds to pull the kid, you know, that bump, 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 always pulls people in.
Well, that's exactly the next point I was going to make. Thank you, Pat. How do the different music styles in the show help create the mood and each scene? Because each scene has specific music style. Like with the Wild Things, you had the African beats. With the Moon, you had moon rockin', rock and roll. So how does that kind of help with creating the scenes? Anybody want to?
It helps a lot.
Yeah, thanks.
For sure.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, each scene is very identified with its music because each scene has its own special theme. So, as I said, when I had Jeff write this, you know, I said, you know, I want upbeat. And he just ran with it and said, well, we're doing this. We need pirate music for the pirate. Even with all my bad jokes in that scene.
Yeah.
Let's go for the pirates' booty. Arr, we're going to go, you know, off on the boats. And, you know, the safari for the Wild Things in Captain Combat. It's that very, you know, I'm the safari, I'm the leader, and the music just kind of goes with that. Ballerina Belle has her, you know, her space and her moon rocking with her moon rocking character. And, you know, it's a very rock rolly. It's nice because the moon's made of rocks. Hey, you know, it's
cheese. It's made of cheese.
cheese.
It totally rocks.
Rocks. It rocks. But I mean, each scene really does have its own kind of quality of its, you know, I'm being so,
It's okay.
you know, it's just, it's like a little story within the story. And the music just goes with that.
Now, which one was your favorite song? Anybody? Oh, I know. They're all good. They're all good.
Wild Things.
Wild Things. Well, yes.
Wild Things.
Well,
Wild Things was fun. It was just
I
like
have to say, Wild Things,
physical.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also true.
it
Wild
was
Things is
really
probably the
physical.
most.
And that at the time, my 3-year-old loved that song. He's 4.5 now, and he'll still be like, Mama, remember, ooh, and like he would sing all the parts. So that was absolutely his favorite for a long time.
PJ, do you have a favorite?
I think I connected with Mind's Eye the most. I
was
think
gonna say that's
spoke the most to, I think, all of our hearts. I think the one I really enjoyed performing the most was Scared Silly, because I just thought it was so fun, all the little jokes and stuff. But I think Mind's Eye was always the one that, you know, I'd always get a little choked up during
I was
it.
going to say Mind's Eye for me too,
Yeah.
but then I'm not performing it. I'm listening to it as a grown up. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like Mind's Eye and Scared Silly. I just the hardest
words.
time remembering those words and like what scary thing was next.
Yeah. Although, so what was the name of the pirate song?
Pirates
Booty!
Booty.
Pirate
Yo!
Booty.
I like that song partly because I did very little. Most of us did very
Yes.
little. It was Pirate Pete. Basically, the whole time we just had to remember which way to yo-ho on.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know. I
Those
like.
were some of my favorite moments when we yo-hoed the wrong way.
Yeah.
And it was like, yo-ho, yo-ho.
Yes. Yes, and I'm sorry, I know that, gotta jump ship for a quick. That's saying bye, David. But it's like,
Bye, David.
Michael, PJ had to not be there one day, which we knew about
I was
ahead
going to
of
bring that
time.
up later, but yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
And, well, it sort of fits in.
It does. Go ahead.
So Rachel, who was our understudy, went
And
on
everything.
as Michelle. And the best thing, she did a wonderful job, no doubt about that. But it was the pirate scene where everybody's bailing water because they don't want the ship to sink. And, you're supposed to bail the water out of the boat. Well, she was bailing water into the boat.
You were bailing water into the boat?
Apparently.
Yes.
I didn't know at the time. I was just into the show, but afterwards, Pat was like, "You do this." You were bailing into the boat, and I was like, "I'm what? Are we supposed to be like 6, 8? Young kids? They wouldn't know any difference."
But I loved that. I remember I wish someone had recorded that scene because I know there's a moment where I was like,
I had to remember everything else about that show. Bailing water, not.
it was so cute though.
Yes, you were on the other
You
side.
wouldn't notice it.
It was so
If anybody,
cute.
Nathan would have noticed it since he was the one
I
sitting
don't
right behind
even
me, but
remember that.
he doesn't
I
remember.
was
Good.
very focused on making sure we didn't die in that water.
Yes.
There was a moment where I was bailing out and I went to bail out and you were bailing in and being like, it was beautiful. I'm so sorry that doesn't exist on film somewhere.
If I had gotten everything down with the blockography, I think I'm okay with bailing water into the
You
boat.
were a champ.
Great.
Yeah.
And Nathan didn't call me anything weird. He called me Michelle, because he's the one who had to call me Michelle most of the time.
Hey, you!
Or sir.
You.
Yeah.
Because I think he calls Michael a lot sir.
Or,
And I think he called you ma'am. Which is
yes. So
Yeah.
Nathan was very good about changing all of
I was
the pronouns.
at my best that day.
Yes. On top of your
You
game.
were always at your best, Nathan.
Oh, shucks.
It
Well,
was funny after the shows though, because the kids would all be greeting all the different characters, like Ballerina Bell, Ragdoll, and they go to Captain Comet. They're like,
you're just like,
yeah, they
I
are.
did get a lot of hugs after that show.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're a very huggable character.
Ragdolls are way more huggable than ballerina bells or
That's because they're soft and
Captain
squishy.
Comets. Exactly.
They're soft and squishy.
Eleanor, you are right. Sir would have been more than appropriate. I would have been okay with Sir. Thank you for your Star Trek. Yes. It's okay. But for kids, they don't quite get it. But Della did bring up a good point when watching all this. All of the puns. Yes. I don't think they were all yours, Aileen. Some of them were. But Aileen, would you like to tell us your favorite joke from the show?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So
Which
everybody,
one?
how do you stop a rhino from charging?
How?
Wow.
You take away his credit card.
Ba-dum-bum.
And that's my joke.
Yes,
Hey.
that was good. And
Love it.
I think Jeff and Pat are both the best at bad dad jokes. I think, especially we brought this up in Princess and the Pea that has a lot of great puns in it as well. The back where what's wrong with my back? Jeff with the something under their underwear joke. That was one of my favorites.
The entire pirate scene.
The entire pirate scene
Yeah.
with he's talking about his pirate's booty, and he opens up the chest, and what is it?
A pirate's booty.
It's actual pirate's
Oh,
booty,
literal.
like the food.
That came to
Crazy.
me one night in my sleep.
Yes.
I do a
Raising
lot
the
of
Jolly Rancher.
Oh yes, raising the Jolly Rancher instead of the Jolly Roger.
Ragdoll, raise
yeah.
the Jolly Rancher. Or raise the Jolly Roger. And I was like, yes, sir.
Jolly Roger.
Raise the Jolly Rancher.
A big, huge Jolly Rancher.
That was stupid. And then we made like lots of, what's a pirate's like favorite fish?
Yes.
Favorite letter.
Swordfish. Yeah.
Yeah.
Letter P.
There was a lot of fish puns in
Yes.
this. A lot of fish puns in the pirate scene.
That's right.
Baloney.
I think that was
Yeah.
all Aileen throwing in
And I
all
love
of her
how
fish
all those
puns.
fish puns built
Bill.
Yeah.
Yes, we had a lot of fish
Yes.
puns in there. Yeah, it was just a fishy pirate scene.
I know the
the
letter
water.
C and all that kind of grew out of creating ad libs for the scene change that was happening. So
What's the pirate's favorite letter?
C.
R. No, the
R.
letter C.
R.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, did
the
we
time.
borrow a couple of those jokes from the PA Renaissance Fair? Because like half of us have worked there at some point.
I mean, I use them a lot.
She's put them back to the Renaissance Fair.
Yeah,
I use
we
them
gave them
in
to the
all
Renaissance
of
Fair.
my shows.
Yeah.
Eleanor wants to know, will there
In
be
other
more
lives.
fish puns in Little Mermaid?
Preview. Yes, there are fish puns. There are lots of puns
It
and
wouldn't
lots
be
of
a story.
fun in Little Mermaid if
Get
we
ready,
ever
Emily.
get to do it.
There wouldn't be a storybook show without puns.
Are there fish puns?
There are.
Yes.
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 Challenge accepted.
I was going to say, Emily, by the way, will be playing our Little Mermaid.
Yay.
If you are interested, as I said, if we ever get the
If we
show
ever
up,
get
she is scheduled to do the.
Yay.
She is scheduled to do the part. She has been cast in it.
Yes.
You don't do a lot of talking
It's
anyway,
gonna happen.
so
Yes, Emily,
you
you
don't
do not
talk the
get
second half of the
Practice
show
swimming.
anyway. So.
It'll
practice
be-
all your facial emotions,
Yes,
which
facials.
Emily has that down.
Oh, I definitely don't have any kind of range of facial emotion.
All right. Yes.
So, Pat, with these puns though, you put them in there. We kind of talked about this in Princess and the Pea too, but you want to make sure that you're giving something to the adults too, right? Like it is a
Always.
kids show, but
Always. I will tell you that came from when I used to take my children, my two daughters, to the theater to see shows. And I would sit there and I would say, these are dumb. this is talking down to the kids. This is, you didn't hate it. You enjoyed it, but it was like, they could be doing so much more than this. And I just didn't. I took you there because I wanted you to see theater and there was no place else really to go. So when I started writing, I made sure that I would entertain the whole family, not just the children. And being that my sense of humor is puns, I live on puns, almost all my shows have some type of puns in it, from my very first show, Little Red Riding Hood and Princess and the Pea, all the way up to Little Mermaid, which is my last that I've done.
I mean, especially for Jeff, I think throwing in those jokes, especially during the Scared Silly song, it kind of helps the kids pull away a little bit from being scared. It kind of relaxes the situation. They're like, oh, that's right. It is only pretend. We are only pretending here. It's okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tommy says, so the mermaid is going to be a Muppet. Yes.
Actually, no.
Well, no, but we like to call
Emily,
Emily, who is a Muppet.
Emily has definitely got a Muppet. Aileen and Emily are Muppets, yes.
Aileen and Emily are definitely Muppets. All right, so I think, yes, thank you, Della. The original Muppet Show was like that, written for adults and children alike.
It was.
Yes, and that was one of my favorite shows.
Yes, so I think this is a really good time, Nathan. Would you like to sing a little something for us?
Sure. This is my first time using this live stream setup. I'm in basically like a pretty brand new studio space, so forgive me if I spend a little time trying to figure out how this is going to work. I'm going to switch over my mic here, so I'm going to be quiet for like a second. So talk amongst yourselves.
Talk amongst
A
ourselves.
chickpea is neither a chick nor a
Mercy.
True story. Did you know that?
Rhode Island is neither a road nor an island. Just
But here's a question.
Hello.
If you
Can you
put
guys
hot
hear me?
sauce in the refrigerator, does it make it cold sauce? That's my question that I have.
All right.
All right, and
Can
on
you
that
guys
note,
hear-
I'm taking all of you off.
Oh, neat. Oh, that screen's off center. I can't do
No,
it.
you're fine. You're fine.
First time flying, guys. All right. So I'm going to do a song that was, okay, so backing up a little bit, for those of you who don't know, Storybook has a series of videos of different actors from Storybook doing other fairy tales. So I did one that got released last week, 2 weeks ago, of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And part of the reason I chose that one is because I actually got to music direct the Styles and Drew musical version of Goldilocks and the Three Bears last summer. And there was a song in there that I loved. It's a song called Porridge. It's where Mother Bear teaches Father Bear and Baby Bear how to make porridge, or at least she tries to. So I'm going to be playing all three parts because just me here. So I'll guide you through it. So here's how it goes. You take a cup of milk, a cup of water, and a pinch of salt, and you pop them in a pan and give a stir, stir, stir. Then you add a cup of oats. I hope you're taking notes, and be careful not to splash it on your fur, fur, fur. When you're making porridge, 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 it's not all that hard on the whole. When you're making porridge, 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 it's a nourishing dish in a bowl. Well, that seems simple enough. So Father Bear says, all right, it's my turn. Steps up to the stove and takes it away. You take a cup of milk, a cup of water, and a cup of oats. Then you stir them all together in a great big pan. Then you add a bag of salt. At least that's what I was taught. And I'll make the finest porridge that I can. When you're making porridge, 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 it's not all that hard on the whole. When you're making porridge, 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 it's a nourishing dish in a bowl. Well, the Three Bears try Father Bear's porridge and they find out, yuck, it tastes awful because there's literally a bag of salt in the porridge. So, Baby Bear says, I think I can do better. You take a cup of milk, a cup of water, and a pinch of salt. Then you stir it all around, at least that's what I've learned. Then you add a sack of oats, and mix it in because it floats. And be careful, not your bottom will get burned, burned, burned. When you're making porridge, 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 it's not all that hard on the whole. When you're making porridge, 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 it's a nourishing dish in a bowl. Solo. Well, they try Baby Bear's porridge and they find out, yuck, it is also terrible because he put an entire bag of oats inside it. So Mother Bear says, there's only one way this works out, and it's if I teach you one more time. You take a cup of milk, a cup of water, and a pinch of salt. Then you pop them in a pan and give a stir, stir, stir. Then you add a cup of oats. I hope you're taking notes, and be careful not to splash it on your fur, fur, fur. When you're making porridge, 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 it's not all that hard on the whole. When you're making porridge, 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 it's a nourishing dish, a nourishing dish, nourishing dish in a bowl. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hey. That's great. Woo-hoo! That was awesome.
Nathan, what was that from?
Goldilocks.
Goldilocks Three Bears.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It's a song from Goldilocks and Three Bears by Styles and Drew.
That's what I was missing. I was like, but by who? Gotcha.
Yeah.
And the answer to your question, to Della's question, yes, there are many other actors on Storytime with Storybook. If you go onto our YouTube page, which some of you may be on right now, there are many different videos. I think almost all of us have done one now. Except
Can't point the right way.
yes. So find it on our Storybook YouTube page.
It's two of them, actually. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I haven't done one either.
PJ over there. Those two.
Yeah.
But yes, we all have done.
We do have some requests out for some of our actors to bring us back. We were very disappointed because we had put a request out to Conrad Ricamora, who you may recall was in How to Get Away with Murder.
And King and I on Broadway.
And he was on the King and I on Broadway, and I forget the other show where it's got all the awards.
Yes.
I don't remember.
Here Lies Love, yes.
Here Lies Love. And he actually did one for us, but somehow or other, technically, he couldn't get the story to us. So he could never put it up.
Because if you don't know, he started with us when he did the Prince in Sleeping Beauty, and he's also the Prince in Rapunzel for us, before he got all big and famous. Yes.
That's when he was back in school.
Yes.
So, yes.
Della said she wants to see the Pretty Princess and Michael. So get those stories out. So, so this show, because it was a one-set show, and because we had to do a lot of different scenes, it's a very, very dance-heavy show. Very dance heavy, more dance heavy than a lot of our shows. Dance. So Aileen and I, being the crazy people that we are, got to choreograph most of this, I think, or was it just me? I don't know. I think it was me.
I think it was kind of a combination of things that I wanted.
Yes.
My feet no longer can do.
Right. But I think came up with a lot of it because I wear every hat in this show. But let's talk about a little bit of what we kind of borrowed from other dances. So do you guys remember? Okay, I'll just talk about it. I know. I know that the moon dance we borrowed Grease Lightning.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, and this also brings the adults into the show as well. Dance Your Way Back Home during the country number, we borrowed the electric slide.
Yes, we did.
And I know
Thriller in there somewhere.
What? Thriller? Oh yes, Thriller's in there doing Wild Things.
Wild Things.
Yes, right. And during Dance Your Way Back Home, there's also the Somewhere dance from Wizard that we do.
Oh yes.
We just stole from our own show. Yes, we just stole from our own show.
From me. That's from,
yes.
Actually, I stole that from my mother, who
There you
taught
go.
me how to do that.
So we just like borrowing. We call it borrowing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I think when I was also choreographing it, we tried to make it easy to repeat some steps because you're already dealing with everything else going on in your brain. So repeating
In case
steps.
understudy
help.
need to step on. You know.
Yeah, in case, you know.
I think the hardest part was in Doll's Life.
I was just
where we
about
had
to talk about
make
that.
a
Yep.
box.
Little
And then
diamond.
diamond, and then we had to turn it, and we were always in a different part of the box every part of the song. That was probably the hardest thing, and it was the easiest thing.
We were trying to make it so that the person in the back, when they came around, would be the person that would be the next to sing.
Yeah.
They didn't quite get that at the beginning.
I thought it was.
I won't lie, that was some of my favorite rehearsal time too, where all of a sudden you were nose to nose with someone and you were like, is it you? Is
Is it you? I'm supposed to
it me? You go, it's me. Ah, go.
Now, would you say that was more difficult than trying to get the salsa timing down during Dance Your Way Back Home?
Yes.
I don't know.
loved Dance Your Way Back Home.
We spent a lot of time
that was
on
cute.
that salsa dancing.
I enjoyed the
That's right.
salsa dance. Trying to find my point in the diamond.
I think Dance Your Way Back Home is one of my favorites too, just because we do get to see all the different dance styles go throughout that thing. You get a little bit of the doo-wop, the salsa, the line dancing. I don't even remember everything, and then
That's right.
culminates in the lovely group
Oh, that's
group
a good shot.
loving.
Yeah.
Go team.
Go team. Yes. And now we had to deal with the race cars too. That was always fun. And you're ad-libbing throughout the race car scene. We always knew kind of that Michael was going to win because he needs to conquer his fears. How did your ad-libbing kind of evolve throughout that entire scene? Did you guys know that you were going to crash into things, or who was? Yes.
Well, as I recall, we gave him I gave him basic blocking for it so that we knew the positions where they needed to be at certain times. And then from there, on my original cast did some cute little add-ons that I decided needed to stay for this show. So I threw those back in. And then I gave this cast a chance to kind of throw their own little quirks into it too.
Yes.
So it's a combination of a lot of things. It's not just my blocking, but a combination of 3 different groups.
2 different.
blocking. And then the ad-libs come with it.
Come with it, yes. And Emily just got to sit on the sideline and watch because
She had the checkered flag.
the check flag.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was so glad I did too.
I ran out of gas first, so that
You
was
did.
pretty
Yeah.
easy.
That's right.
I remember everybody's
Yes.
craft was getting a little bit bigger every
Yes.
single time we did the scene. Like it would start with, then it would go, then by the time we were done the run, it was,
One day her tire blew out and she spun around and we're like,
Yep.
Was it Nathan that you ran into the toy box on your way around?
I think so. I
Yes.
mean, I mostly recall from that just like borderline threatening Michael throughout it.
yeah.
So yeah, that's where his
Yeah.
like Captain Combat's real aggression comes out.
He came around the corner and crashed into the corner of the toy
Right.
box.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very
All right.
competitive.
Let's just because we're getting a little over an hour, let's talk about our favorite memories. Anybody have good stories or memories about the show? PJ, I feel like you have one.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I have my favorite like running gag,
Yes.
not really on stage, but like backstage of
Yes,
ours was
that's cool.
Jen. Throughout the whole course of the thing. So,
Yeah.
His older sister, Jen.
You have to
yeah, Michael has
understand there
an
is
older
a
sister.
backstory in
Yes.
that. He does have the older sister Jen in the story, but we also had someone backstage whose name was Jen. So it was like, it was a running gag. They'd come off stage and they'd look at Jen. Jen, or they'd call for
Yeah.
Jen off stage and be Jen. Jen.
We didn't really hate her. We loved Jen.
We loved her. She was wonderful.
No. That's like this is the nicest person ever.
Yes.
She said her name was Christine throughout the course of the run.
Anybody else have a good?
I think my favorite memory was so I have some friends who I used to like go to their house every week and hang out, and they had a couple of kids, and so at the end of the show one day when the kids are coming down, all of a sudden it was like, oh hey, how's it going? Did you know you were coming to my show? And it was really sweet to be like, oh yeah, like people that I know are actually come see the show with their kids. So because the funny thing was they didn't even realize that I was in the show. Their school had come to see it. So it was just like this happy coincidence. Also, was it Emily that brought cookies? Who brought cookies like frequently? Backstage.
yes.
I
Probably
may have
Emily.
brought cookies. A couple
Oh yeah,
times.
yeah.
A lot
There
of
we go.
people.
We all
Cookies.
brought cookies.
I recall all the.
There was
cookies
always
that I ate, and
food.
those were good too.
Yeah. It was around the holiday time. too.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Like when we did our run, so people had baking on the mind.
Yes. Emily, any good memories, stories from the show?
Actually, I love that moment at the very end after we've sent Michael back to bed and we're all getting back into our original positions as the sun's coming up, and that like that last stanza of Mind's Eye before we went, good night everyone, good night, and hit the last note and everything got dark. I always thought that was such a sweet little moment,
I know it's supposed to be happy, but it made me really sad.
And I don't know why, because it's not like we weren't going to get played with, but it was like, it's over.
Yeah.
And Michael can come back anytime.
It's true.
Yeah.
Right?
I loved that moment. Like when I said goodbye to you guys and asked you if I can come back and play again. I loved that moment too. That was always really
And
sweet.
we're
Aileen?
always here.
Any good memories, Aileen?
I
No.
mean, I was the comic relief, so anytime I said a pun and made people laugh, it made my day. I love it when people laugh at me.
Yes. I think the message of the story too, where Michael doesn't care that he's playing with dolls and his sister toys. He just likes to play and use his imagination. So I think that's a really good message to all the kids out there. So I want to end this broadcast, like I do with every other broadcast, with a little would you rather question. And it's a little silly because it's Toyland, because it's all right. So, but before I do, please, if you like what you see today, support the arts. PayPal.me/Storybook396. We'd like to continue doing this for everybody, so please.
Oh, look at Della's last comment.
Oh yes, like Toy Story. Your toys have inner lives.
Yes, you got it.
You get
Right
it.
here.
Right here. So, my little would you rather question. Would you rather be able to shrink down to the size of a toy anytime you wanted to, or be able to grow to the size of a spaceship anytime you wanted to? Spaceship. I know. I told you it was a little silly. It's a little silly.
Could I like be a spaceship and go into outer space?
Sure,
Or
it's your
just-
imagination.
Space!
Oh, then definitely. I want to see outer space.
All right.
If I can see outer space, yeah, I would go spaceship. If it's just size, I'd like to shrink down and Alice in Wonderland it for a while.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
PJ?
I'm going to go spaceship too. One, for seeing outer space. One, I spend a lot of my time shorter than most people. It would be nice to go the other way for a little bit.
That was something we did not talk about, was how we had to cast all people that were taller than you. Yes. Anything?
They aren't hard to find.
Now I understand.
Space scares me, so I'm gonna shrink. I'll play with my toys, Michael size.
Melody agrees. She would choose toy.
Good job, Melanie.
I think I would choose the toy too. That way I could kind of slink around and see what's going on in the world without anybody knowing I'm there. And
Then I'd be the same size as my dog, and I could ride my dog.
Oh, yeah.
Just like in Toy Story.
Just
All right, one last question, just because I want to know the answer. If you could choose any other character from the show that you would want to be, who would you be?
oh,
Anybody.
I'll pick Captain Combat. Karate chop.
Karate chop action.
I'd probably
Emily?
be Pirate Pete because I'm obsessed with ships and pirates.
You've played pirates before.
Yeah, there's okay, like going back to my studio, look up on the mantelpiece, there's literally a ship up there. So
yeah.
I got that ship when I was 5 years old, so it's been in the family for a while.
Oh.
If
Emily?
I was
Yes.
if I was still acting, which
Yeah.
I retired from a bit ago, but if I was still acting, I would go for the rag doll. That's
Comic relief.
me.
Yeah.
Definitely me.
PJ?
Probably the ragdoll too, because I love a good pun.
And Emily?
Yep.
Ragdoll?
Rag doll or pirate.
I mean, it would either be the ragdoll or honestly, it'd be kind of cool to be Michael.
Oh,
It
there
was
you
fun.
go.
It was fun to be Michael.
Yeah.
For the
That might be kind of cool to
fun.
experience like the night as Michael and be like,
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us again.
Yeah.
Support the arts. PayPal.me. Storybook.
Please.
Also, again, find our story time at Storybook on our YouTube page. See our lovely faces again. And if you'd like to get any personalized character greetings, which some of us will do for you, send $25 to Venmo or on our PayPal account, and we can do that for you. And
Emily's
again,
done a few.
Emily's done a few, so she's very popular. Oh, and please, our special announcement for the show, join Aileen again, and hopefully our Pirate Pete Chris for our next Behind the Curtains, which will be Aladdin on Saturday, September 12th, I believe.
Oh,
so
okay.
join us, join us again for that. Surprise! So join us again for that, and we'll see all your lovely faces again. So thank you all for joining us.
Thanks for
Bye.
joining.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Support the
Stay safe,
arts.
everyone.
Stay safe. Yes, please.